What's going on, world? Coming at you guys again. We got another quick video. Job opportunities. Let's talk about it. So, relatively recently, that's been going around on social media, as well as even into the days of Charlie Kirk. There was this narrative being pushed out by people speaking upon individuals like American citizens who went to American institutions or colleges to get degrees, only to find themselves in positions to where, unfortunately, there was no employment for them. Now, I'm a big advocate of looking at the glass half full and trying to go through life with an optimistic perspective, or as what we say is turning lemons into lemonade. If you're not aware, if you have an associate's degree, if you have a bachelor's degree, if you have a master's degree, if you have a doctorate, and you're under the age of 40, and you can't find employment, well, one of the things that you can do is go join the military. Start off with the bare minimum. Go enlisted. Get you a 2-year contract. They're giving out great bonuses right now, 40, 50 grand for 2 years of service. Once you complete basic training in AIT, when you get to your first duty station, you're going to receive the bulk sum of that bonus. By the time you finish your basic training in AIT on a 2-year contract, you'll only probably be at your duty station for about a year before it's time for you to start getting out. Once you get out, you'll have all of the information, education, as well as experience to know what it's like to operate as a regular soldier on the enlisted side. Now you can go back to school. You can have student loan repayments to pay off some of that debt up to $250,000. Or you can get out and then go back in as an officer if you have your bachelor's degree. Now, when you go back in as an officer utilizing your bachelor's degree, even if you got a bachelor's degree in a occupational field to where there's no job, the military will assign you a role in which you can utilize your degree for, because it recognizes that you had the capacity to get the degree in the first place. And you can use that degree to get officer's pay once you make it through officer candidate school. Now, because you've already served during an enlisted term, instead of you just getting officer pay, you'll get something called enlisted officer pay, which is a little bit more than what the average person would get. To your counterparts or your peers, an individual who goes straight into the military after college with a degree gets officer pay, but a person that was enlisted before they became an officer gets enlisted officer pay, which is a slight increase in pay in comparison. So, the reality of the situation is there are multiple opportunities for everybody. You just have to be willing to look for them. One of the biggest things that people don't understand and recognize is you can do 15 years in the U.S. military and retire. And depending on what type of soldier you want to be, whether enlisted or officer, the sky is the limit. And however long it takes you to retire is up to you. It really depends on how much effort you put in. When I was in, I did anything and everything under the sun. I volunteered for everything. I tried to be a part of everything. I tried to join everything. There was nothing under the sun that I did not try to get involved in, to try to do as best as I could. Because in the era that I grew up in, I grew up watching G.I. Joe, right? And the narrative that was being pushed out and promoted was be all you can be. And that really took shape and form for who I became as a person. So I'm not saying that you have to join the military and do everything. You have individuals that do 20 years in the military, and one of the reasons why they have the capacity to do 20 years in the military is because they do the bare minimum. They check the boxes. They kind of coast through. They're not interested in going special operations or special forces. The reality of the situation is most often these people just, they do just enough to get by. And as long as they're confident and competent, these people do 20 years in the military. And then you have the exception to the rule. Sometimes you have people that do anything and everything, and they have great genetics, and they have the capacity to do a full 20, 25 years. Me personally, I didn't have great genetics, so my body broke down before I could finish my career. And it's been a struggle since. But with the support of being an American citizen, I've had the opportunity to continuously engage and interact with all people, regardless of race, color, creed, culture, and religion. I've been, trying to facilitate change no matter where I've gone and try to stand up and stick up for anybody who was oppressed or faced some type of prejudice or inhumane or immoral action. So America has opportunity for you. You just have to be willing to chase it.